Welcome back. Glad that you are here. We are building a movie app with the best coding practices and tools. Till now in UI, we have made home screen, navigation drawer and app dialog. Now let's work on movie detail screen. This will be a longer video than compared to others. You will land on movie detail screen from three places. Tap on movie card from home screen, from search screen and from favorite movies screen. On movie detail screen you will see app bar with back icon and favorite icon, which is a toggle icon. We will save movies in the local database in future videos. So right now I will only place the icons in without giving action on top. Then we will have big poster of the movie followed by the title and the description of the movie. To keep this video to a specific topic, I will create separate video for cast and video in movie details. Let's start coding. In the domain layer, whenever we design any screen, we should think of the data that it will display. As in case of movie detail screen, we will show details of any selected movie. As you already know from our previous videos, domain layer consists of entities, abstract repository, and use cases. Entity. From data source, we will get the movie detail by hitting an API. We will get so many unwanted fields from the data source, but entity must not have all those fields. Entity should only have the fields that are required to show in the UI or that are part of some further API calls. Let's create request and response entity keeping the domain only in mind. In the domain entities folder, create a new file movieparams.dart. To fetch the movie details, we require a movie ID. This class acts as a data holder for request parameters that are required to call the movie detail API. Now in the domain entities folder, create a new file moviedetailentity.dart. If you look at the data on movie detail screen, you can see we need title, release date, overview, vote average, and backdrop path. You will also need ID and poster path at some point in future, so let's add them too. Let's consider that ID will be enough to compare two movie detail objects if required. Now in repository, when we are ready with the request and response entity, we can create an abstract method in the abstract repository. In the domain repository folder, add a new method. Here, we create a method that takes in an ID and returns us with either app error or a success object of movie detail entity. Now let's make a use case that invokes this method. If we have seen previous videos, we are using use cases only in the blocks. So create a new use case in domain/use cases folder. Since we have already created some use cases before, so copy any one of them and change the name to get movie detail. Important thing here is that you define the response type and request type as movie detail entity and movie params respectively. The call method works on these types, so change them as well with the correct types. In the call method, you will make call to get movie detail instead of get trending method. Now we are done with the domain layer that's easy and fast. Let's make the API call now via data layer. If you open the data folder, you will see errors in the repository folder. That's because we haven't implemented the method that we declared in abstract repository class. Before resolving the error, let's create the model class. A model class is the response model that holds the passed JSON from the API. If you remember, we used JSON2Dart tool for creating the model class from JSON. Head on to the developers API page of the moviedb.org and select movies. On the right hand side, you can see the details. Put the API key and any movie ID. Now hit the send request button and copy the response. Paste this response in JSON2Dart tool. Copy the generated code in a new file, moviedetailmodel.dart. We have to make some modifications because sometimes based on JSON, the JSON2Dart tool is unable to create proper subclasses. So make all the fields as final. Make fromJSON method as factory method now. You can refer the data sources video for the similar steps. While you are doing these code changes, you will also extend the model with the entity and use the super constructor to fill in values in the entity instance. Now come to the repository implementation. Now you can add the implementation of repository method in the movie repository impl.dart. First, add the async keyword in the method. You will create the getMovieDetail method from the data source, which we will create in a moment. Next, as we have done for other methods to maintain a level of abstraction, use the model instead of entity. Now we are at the final part of making the API call. In the movie remote data source.dart, add the abstract method and the implementation. First, add the declaration in the abstract class, movie remote data source. Now implement the method in movie remote data source impl and add the async keyword. To fetch the movie details, you have to append movie/$id to the base URL. Now use fromJSON of moviedetailModel class to create model from the JSON. Finally, return the movie detail model. After domain and data layer, let's come to the business logic. In this case, we can create a BLoC even before we have our UI, because BLoC only depends on making API calls and we have use cases already added. Let's create a BLoC then, with the name movie detail. Add a new event in the movie detail event.dart. Declare movie detail load event class extending the movie detail event. Declare a final field movie ID and override the props method. Now in movie detail state.dart, add some states. Movie detail loading for showing the loader that we will cover in future videos. Movie detail error for handling errors when returned from the API or network. Movie detail loaded, which will be emitted when the movie detail API has responded with success movie detail entity object. As you will store the movie details in the entity, declare the final field and add it in the props as well. Now handle the event and dispatch the state in the movie detail block.dart. As you need to make API call using use case, declare the final field of getMovieDetail use case. Allow it to be passed in a constructor also as a required field. We will declare all the dependencies things in the get_it.dart in a while. Now handle the event in map event to state method. When you have event as load event, make the API call and store the response in the either type object. Use the fold operator to yield movie detail error or movie detail loaded state with movie details object. Now let's add the dependency. We have declared a new use case and a BLoC, so let's put them in get_it.dart. Just like others, below all use cases, declare one more get movie detail. And below all the blocks, declare dependency for movie detail BLoC. Now as I do it, I found that I have declared a dependency for movie tabbed BLoC in a wrong way in the previous videos. We have given new instances of each use case in the movie tabbed BLoC constructor. Instead of that, we should have taken from getIt instance directly. So update that and use only the getIt instance instead of initializing. This way, we are not having two instances of getPopular, getPlayingNow and getComingSoon use case. Now come to the screen. As of now, we have two places from where we will navigate to the details screen. First, on tap of carousel card, and second, on tap of tab card. From both of these places, you will get the movie ID. This ID you have to transmit to the details screen. This should be straightforward as you can directly pass ID in the movie details screen constructor. At first, this seems easy and quick, but we are talking about best practices, scalable and modular approach. Currently, you have only one parameter. What do you do when you have 10 parameters? Obviously, you will not like giving 10 fields in the constructor. So for that, we will create a separate class that can have any number of arguments in future. We are entering a new journey, so create a folder in journeys and create movie detail arguments class in that folder. Declare a field movie ID as that will be required to make the API call once we land on the screen. So the main idea is when we tap on the movie card, we take the ID to the detail screen and make an API call. Now we have the arguments, so let's make the screen. In the same folder, create a new file movie_detail_screen.dart. Create a stateless widget and add the movie detail arguments as the final field, as the screen depends on this argument class. Make this field as required so that we make sure that the screen doesn't get called without arguments by mistake. As this is a required field, let's also be assured that this will never be null. You might be thinking what happens when the arguments are not null, but the movie ID in arguments is null. Well, assert statement can only take constants, and movie ID is not a constant. So we cannot restrict. But in this case, API will return with error and we will show user with the appropriate error. Now, before moving to the UI, let's link this screen to the carousel card and the tab cards. Open movie_card widget in home movie carousel folder and add the linking. In the on-tap body, add the linking. Use the push method to push the movie detail screen in the stack. You will also pass the movie detail arguments by using movie ID. Do the same thing in home/movie tab for movie tab card widget. For now, we are using push method of navigator, but as we grow in future videos with more screens, we will use push named because that is more maintainable. Now run the application and see what happens when we tap on the movie cards. We will navigate to a white screen. That's because we have an empty container in the screen. So the main layout, finally we are on the UI. In the movie detail screen, add the BLoC and handle the success and error states. First, make the movie detail screen as a stateful widget, as we will get the instance of movie detail BLoC instance and dispose it here itself. Declare a private variable for the BLoC. Get the instance in init state. Dispose the BLoC in dispose method. Dispatch the movie load event in init state, because as soon as we land on this screen, we will get the movie details from the API based on movie ID from movie detail arguments. In the build method, wrap the container widget with BLoC builder. Since we have the BLoC builder, we must also provide the BLoC down the tree so that the child widgets can use that BLoC. So wrap BLoC builder with BLoC provider and provide the values as movie detail BLoC. This whole screen should be in a scaffold. Come back to BLoC builder to handle the states. For now, just write if-else statements to handle loaded and error state. For rest of the states, we show sizebox.shrink. Now run the app and tap on any movie card. You will navigate to movie detail screen with primary color as the screen color. This is because we have added Vulkan as the scaffold background color in the theme data. Let's create the big poster. Take the movie detail entity out of the state to use it in the further UI. Use column to lay out elements in vertical order. We will put the top part of this screen in separate widget, that is big poster. In the same folder, create a new widget file bigposter.dart. This will be a stateless widget. This widget cannot run without movie details, so declare a final field of movie detail entity type. Also, make sure that the movie details is a required field. Now update the build method by adding image. You will start with using cached network image with poster path. As the backdrop path is in horizontal, so we will use poster path only. We will show name of the movie and release date at the bottom of this image. So we will require some overlay on top so that irrespective of any image, the title and the description is visible. So wrap this image with container and give a foreground decoration. Use linear gradient with two colors, first one being a little transparent with 0.3 opacity, and the second one will use the primary color for this. By default, the direction of gradient is from left center to right center. So give begin and end explicitly, as we should have darker color at the bottom side of the image. Now we will add the title, release date and average vote. Using stack, we will use list style over the big poster. Put the position widget below the big poster. We will use full width, so give left and right as 0. Also give bottom as 0 because we want to position every text at the bottom of the big poster. List style is the best widget that can be used here, as we need title, description and trailing widgets in the same positions. We will show title of the movie first, so give it headline 5 widget, headline 5 text style. In subtitle, we will show release date below the title, so give it gray subtitle 1 text style, which we will create in just a moment. Now, at the rightmost of the list tile, we need to show vote average. Give violet headline 6 as the text style. Open theme_text.dart and add the two text styles in the extensions. By copying everything in subtitle 1 and changing just the color, we will create new text style. Similarly, copy all the properties of headline 6 and change the color to violet. You might be wondering why extensions are created at the very first place. Because text theme has text styles based on font sizes, not based on colors. So when we have to use same text styles, with different colors, it should be easier and consistent throughout the application. By creating an extension on text theme, you can call these text styles by theme.ofcontext.texttheme.any of the text style. This will help us when we add multiple themes and dark modes to the application. Now we need one more extension, this time on number though. The vote average that is returned by the API is in decimals and we want to convert it to percentage. So call convert to percentage string on vote average and create num_extensions.dart in common extensions folder. This method will multiply by 10 and then remove any further decimal. After this, we will append the percentage sign to it. In the big poster widget, add another element in the stack at the end. Use positioned widget with some margin from left and right. Add movie detail app bar that we will create now. In the journeys movie detail folder, create a new file movie detail app bar.dart. Use row to lay out elements in horizontal. Then use arrow back iOS as the leftmost icon. Use favorite border icon as the rightmost icon. To make these icons have unlimited space in between, use space between as main axis alignment. Now, from top, consider using status bar height from screen util because the row is touching the phone top part. Use gesture detector to navigate back to the home screen on click of the back arrow. So give on tap and pop out of the screen for the back arrow. Now you can navigate back and forth. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you in learning something or other, then your like will help me a lot. I would love to hear back from you. If you are new to my channel, do subscribe and toggle on the notifications so that you never miss the future tutorials.